What I'd like to really briefly do is just run through a few policies and see whether you agree or disagree. So, the public sector pay rise is capped at 1%. Agree or disagree?
Well, look, George Osborne said today Britain's getting a pay rise, and it's not. It's getting a pay cut, and he's not introducing a living wage. That's a con. And even more importantly...
I'll come to living wage in a second.
Even more importantly, he is not preparing Britain for the future. The most important challenge we face in the economy is improving productivity. But even, his own judgment on his actions in the budget says it's going to get worse and worse and worse.
OK, so public sector pay freeze or cap, bad. Freeze on benefits for 4 years, good or bad?
I'm really concerned about what's going to happen to low-paid workers, and I'll be setting out more my approach in the coming days. But it would not be my approach to be taking away those tax credits from low-paid working people.
No, hang on. The freeze on in-work benefits first. Let's just stick on that.
It's the wrong approach. As I said, Krishnan, I'll be setting out more about my alternative.
So you don't know whether you agree on that?
In the coming days. But listen, my approach would not be, when we face a low-pay crisis, to cut tax credits from those who are really struggling to make ends meet. Look, the Chancellor said that he's finally...
Not at all? So you wouldn't cut tax credits at all?
He's finally come onto our ground by understanding that we need to raise the minimum wage, but he's not taking the action...
Would you cut tax credits at all, or is it just this particular tax credit package you're opposed to?
You know that we have to be a responsible opposition. People didn't trust us on the economy or with their taxes, and any alternative that we put forward would need to be costed. My approach, though, is that we need real action to tackle the causes of low pay, and I've already proposed that we should change the legal remit of the Low Pay Commission to actually get a proper living wage. Look, what Osborne's announced today has been a total con. It's not the living wage.
Yeah, but it's more than you were proposing.
So
that's good, isn't it?
That he has finally understood that we have a low pay crisis and we need to increase the minimum. Increase the minimum is progress. But
so you welcome
this is a con. It is not a living wage. And people are actually going to
I don't understand why you're criticising something that you think is good. You think it's better than the current situation.
I'm saying
it's just not as good as your idea,
listen,
is what you're saying.
Well, of course, it's certainly not as good as having a proper living wage. Look, he can call it whatever he likes, but it's not a living wage. And people are going to see their tax credits cut as well. And this is a chronic problem in this country, and it links to the productivity question, which he's also failing on.
Right.
Why is productivity getting worse year on year on year under his plans? Everybody knows that improving productivity is vital to improving the economy, and he's just failing to take action on that.
You'll agree, presumably, with the 2% of GDP spend on defence?
I think it is right. If it does turn out to be that commitment, I have strongly supported keeping our promise to our NATO allies on the 2% spending on defence commitment, because we face such risks in the world. And this is not the time to go back on that commitment to our NATO allies. So I think that is positive, if that's what it turns out to be.
What about limiting tax credits to 2 children?
Okay.
On principle, do you think that is a good or a bad idea?
Look, my approach, as I said, would be different, and I'll be setting out some alternatives.
That's a bad idea.
I tell you what I do have a problem with. It wouldn't be my priority to see the inheritance tax cut that benefits only a few people, rather than, putting the money into the very early years of life.
I know. Every time I ask you one thing, you shift us onto another policy.
But I'm trying to
just on this question of tax credits being limited to 2 children. Do you think that's right or wrong?
Listen, I've said we need a different approach.
So it's wrong?
We need a different approach to what the government set out. I want to provide a properly costed approach to what we should be doing.
I still don't know whether that's right or wrong. Okay. Just say right or wrong.
Because I think that we should be... you can't really reform welfare unless you're putting the support in that people need to get the childcare to go to work, that you have tough action to really improve wages. And on the housing benefit side, unless you're building more homes. We need a different approach to that. Look, we've just come through a terrible defeat. People rightly want an opposition and a leader who will set out a costed alternative approach. We've only just got...
OK, I get it. We'll get your plans in due course. I was hoping we'd just get sort of some ticks or crosses. But look, let me ask you about something else while you're here, which is, the last few days we've also seen a rather tacky argument in some parts of the party about you and Yvette Cooper that was sparked by Helen Goodman, MP, who wrote about being a mother of two, and that's why she's backing Yvette Cooper to be the next leader of the Labour Party as a working mum. She understands the pressures on modern family life, and that was taken as something of a jab at you. How did you react?
Well, listen, I'm really looking forward to the day when women don't get asked those sort of questions that men would never get asked.
By other women?
And, and journalists.
Well, I'm asking you to react to something a Labour MP said.
Well, listen, as I said, I want to have a day in politics where women do not get asked different questions from men, and where we have proper equal representation in Parliament and amongst our councillors. But look, I'm putting myself forward as leader of the Labour Party because I believe I'm the right person to win in 2020, address the issues that we face head on.
Liz Kendall, I'm really sorry we're out of time. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's it. That's Channel 4 News.